Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out and sticking around late. Thanks for everyone watching online. I'm Doug Petkanics, founder at Livepeer. Get the slides up and running? Cool. All right. So yeah, I'm Doug Petkanics. I'm the founder at Livepeer. I'm going to give an update on what Livepeer is, talk a little bit about what we've accomplished over the past few years and what's going on in the network. And then I'm excited to share a launch that we're part of today with some other projects as well. Cool, so Livepeer has been around actually since late 2016, kind of formally founded in 2017, been live for almost 3.5 years. Our mission is to build the world's open video infrastructure. Video is actually about 80% of the bandwidth and traffic on the internet as it exists today. We've felt that more than ever in this past year and a half in a socially distanced world when we use video for kind of our education, how we work, how we get entertained, how we learn. It's a huge part of our lives. And the world's video infrastructure actually can't keep up with all of the streaming that's going on. It's a $70 billion industry, and you've still seen governments need to restrict bandwidth usage during high peak times and super high costs for accessing and running this infrastructure. It's very challenging to do at scale. It's very expensive. There's the reason that it's so computationally heavy and expensive is because when you capture one HD video or one 4K video kind of in the advancing technologies, you actually need to do a lot of processing on it called transcoding to convert it into many different copies of videos, many different bit rates, so you can deliver that video to every different type of device all around the planet at different connection speeds. And that process is so heavy, it requires so many servers, that there's actually very few infrastructure providers that can do that at scale today and deliver the video without all the buffering and slowdowns that users are used to. So the way that usually works is, unsurprisingly, one of those infrastructure providers is Amazon Web Services, another is Google. These are big infrastructure monopolies. They're very expensive. They charge a lot, and there's really no alternatives. And so what you see is when video developers try and build streaming apps, they use these services, they gain adoption, and they actually sometimes kind of bankrupt themselves before they can layer on a business model, find product market fit. And it's not feasible to compete with YouTube and Twitch and these large platforms that also happen to be owned by Amazon and Google, the same companies that are running the infrastructure. So Livepeer is actually an open, decentralized alternative. We let anyone in the world with excess compute capacity, GPUs, put them on the Livepeer network, earn money for video streaming, and we actually have this global network of node operators to power video. And decentralization brings a ton of benefits for video. You want video processed nearby where it's captured. You want it delivered nearby where people are watching it. And so having a global network brings a lot of advantages, and an open marketplace can actually bring down the cost 10x relative to what cloud providers charge. The Livepeer economy is a marketplace. Our users are video developers building streaming applications, and our project onboards them through traditional go-to-market motions. We have sales and BD teams that go out and say, use the Livepeer network. It's 10 times more cost-effective than using Amazon and other streaming alternatives like Vimeo and Mux and Brightcove and these companies in the Web 2 world. And at the same time, because we're a decentralized open protocol, we're seeing a lot of adoption in the Web 3 world as new social applications and NFT applications come online and introduce video streaming. So we really think we're kind of set up to be the streaming layer in the Web3 stack. On the supply side, all these node operators that provide this infrastructure, we have kind of a really cool value proposition for them. And these are made up of GPU crypto miners, people who are mining Ethereum, Zcash, Monero, Grin with GPUs. There's millions of these cards deployed in mining data centers around the world. They just so happen to have video encoding chips on them already because the GPUs are manufactured with video encoding chips. Those chips can't mine. They sit there doing absolutely nothing. So we tap into this huge existing latent supply. We say, you can still mine. You don't have to disrupt your mining, but you can also encode video at the same time and earn additional revenue. And that's really powerful. And they're willing to do this at far cheaper prices than what cloud providers charge. So that's been a great bootstrapping mechanism. We've been working on this for years, and in the last year, we've really focused on the demand side, and we've seen a lot of network growth. So the metric that we care about, how much unique video is input into the Livepeer network to stream each week. And at the beginning of the year in January, I think we were doing less than 100,000 minutes a week. Last week, we did 2.5 million minutes of input video. That's about 300 streams of video that are being sent into the network at any given point in time. So it's been really exciting to see this growth. It's also cool to note, users are paying real fees in order to use this infrastructure. We've seen, thousands of dollars per week. Last week, over $10,000 paid into the network to perform this video encoding. So you're actually seeing a decentralized Web3 compute protocol with real adoption, real fees, real usage in a huge industry. So really excited about that. We have 100 slots for node operators, but they can run as many GPUs or partner with as many GPUs behind, GPU miners behind them as possible. And so there's over 70,000 GPUs that are kind of standing by to serve the demand on this network. Nowhere near that many is needed just yet. Nowhere near that many would be needed to encode all the video of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch combined. So I think we have pretty good supply. There's almost 3,000 kind of token holding staking delegators who help provide QA and security to this network. And over half the Livepeer tokens are actually staked on the network to actually be long-term aligned, locked up, and secure the network. So good kind of adoption on the supply side as well. One of the things we built to really power this is a hosted gateway at livepeer.com. Anyone can get started building a streaming app or streaming video for free, up to 1,000 minutes a month. We've also hidden and abstracted all of the crypto complexity. You can sign up with a credit card, you can get an API key. You can use it the same way you would use any video service that's out there today. And this has driven a lot of our demand. Some of the users on Livepeer are creator economy apps, people powering the long tail of streamers. These are all third-party applications, not built by us. There's playdj.tv that focuses on streaming for musicians and DJs. Corkuma is social commerce and shopping. There's a gaming streaming platform, an artist streaming platform. One that I'm kind of excited about to hone in on is called glass.xyz. This is a new kind of crypto Web3-centric streaming app. They've live streamed NFT drops for artists and creators. That's been really powerful to help kind of young artists monetize their work. One thing that's been exciting about this is not just kind of a traditional streaming app. This is really a dApp. It's Web3 native. They use Livepeer for streaming. They use Arweave for storage. They use other protocols for payments. It's one of the first times we're starting to see full Web3 native applications because the Web3 stack with all these projects combined are now really ready for developers for the first time. And we're seeing apps like Mirror and Glass really demonstrate this. It's an exciting moment. So I'm excited to share something we've been collaborating with a bunch of other projects on that actually launched today. It's called the Web3 Index. And what it does is it highlights these Web3 infrastructure protocols for things like file storage with Filecoin and Arweave, video streaming with Livepeer, bandwidth exchange with Helium, compute with Akash, data services from the graph. These projects all teamed up to launch this new index that showcases the real usage of these underlying protocols by the fees that users are spending to access those services. So it's not measuring market cap, it's not measuring total value locked like you'd see in DeFi. It's measuring the dollars that users spend to access the services as they're building services on the Web3 stack. You can check this out at web3index.org. It's completely open, and any Web3 project can just do an integration to be added to it. And we think that Web3 is actually going to be the next big trend beyond kind of DeFi and NFTs in the crypto space now that developers are able to build on this full stack. And we think Web3 Index will really highlight kind of the growth of the community and be a great resource for media and beyond. So excited to launch that as well. Thank you very much. That's kind of my overview of Livepeer. You can find us at livepeer.org on Twitter, livepeer.org on the web. And I'm happy to answer a few questions.
Thanks, Doug.
Sure.
So we do have a few questions for you. The first one was actually about the user base. You mentioned that now there's, the payments, the Visa payments integrated, so it's, less difficult to understand for a non-crypto native person. And the first question was just asking, how many of your users are crypto native versus not? If you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So the question, how many of our users are crypto native? How many are maybe Web 2 traditional streaming apps, right? By volume of streams, the majority of the streams actually come from the Web 2 world, right? And that's because there's these streaming apps that have been around for years that have built up huge user bases and communities and might have hundreds of streams of video being streamed at any given moment. And that's a lot of video, it's a lot of usage. But by number of apps that begin to hack on Livepeer, that begin to build, you actually see a large percentage nowadays emerging from the Web3 world because you see people beginning to experiment with, hey, how do I add live streaming to an NFT drop so that our users can interact with the artists? How can I have kind of token-gated payments for video streams and hack on those things? And I think that's where you're going to see the next really cool, disruptive, innovative apps. I don't think you beat TikTok just by creating decentralized TikTok. I think you do it by creating something that has kind of a crypto native monetization that helps creators monetize their time better, and that'll emerge from this world. And so excited for some of those to grow, and we want that built on Livepeer.
Cool, thanks. All right, and our next question's talking about rising gas fees on Ethereum. Just how it's impacted Livepeer, and I know you have probabilistic micropayments on the network. How these come into play to alleviate the situation.
Yeah, so you mentioned something called probabilistic micropayments. Just for the audience, what the background is when people use our network for video streaming, they send in 2-second segments of video to be encoded, and they don't send an on-chain payment every 2 seconds. That wouldn't scale. So the way we've scaled payments is that when you send a 2-second segment of video, you actually send a lottery ticket to the person doing the work. And a very high percentage of the time that person does the work, they check the lottery ticket, it's a loser, they throw it out, they discard it, they get nothing. But every so often, they get a winning ticket and they cash in a payment on chain, and all our node operators kind of celebrate these moments as they occur because they earn about $600 or $700 worth of Ether when they get one of these winning tickets. And the math works out that over time, the amount that you earn through these winning tickets will be exactly equal to what you would have earned for all the work that you did if you charged every second. So that's kind of the first cool scaling technique we've used. It works really well. It's keeping the network cost effective for those users. Who the network is not cost effective for right now is actually kind of new, small stakers, token holding delegators. For that, we need layer 2 scaling. We've communicated out a plan, kind of building on the Ethereum connected layer 2 chains, and hope to have a solution launched that makes the staking experience more cost effective in the next 2 or 3 months.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit more about that solution?
Sure. We're targeting the Arbitrum layer 2 that's being built in such a way that it would be applicable to deploy it on a couple other layer 2 candidates. The solution would be that, hey, Livepeer token is on Ethereum. That's where the protocol is native, but when you stake, you're kind of crossing over a bridge and entering onto layer 2, and then all the in-protocol actions that you do would occur on layer 2. So staking, moving your staking around, accessing your rewards, could be really cost effective and low fee.
Definitely. All right, and I guess this is a question pertaining to, I think last month you posted a blog post about trying to reach the goal to activate 66 high-performing nodes to overcome the fees because of what you mentioned. Some of the lower or smaller nodes aren't able to get enough profits to cover their fees. So if I understand correctly, these layer 2 solutions will come in a couple months, but until then, what's the plan to try to alleviate that, and how's it going?
Okay, good detailed question. This is, again, some of the smaller operators on our network, they still do work, they still earn the fees that users are paying in to encode video, and that's great. But what they're not able to do is do all the Ethereum transactions, which have become expensive, in order to kind of earn the inflationary Livepeer token that would help them offset their costs and help them become bigger owners in the network. And one way that we can help them enable to do that before layer 2 is actually, it's kind of the decentralization of stake problem. You want a lot of the actors on the network to actually stake towards these high-performing nodes, get more stake on them, let them keep a little bit of the rewards that they're earning in order to help cover their costs. And this is kind of an awareness challenge. You want the whole community to know this is an important priority. It's communications and kind of showcasing to some of the whales, if you will, hey, you're actually helping the network more if you spread your stake around and activate these high-performing nodes, as opposed to just kind of activating one node to maximize returns. But in the really, it's the layer 2 scaling that will solve this, and that's what we need to get to.
Awesome, thanks. So I'm out of my questions, but I just wanted to say thank you. And if there's anything else you wanted to add, it'd be great to give us a couple more minutes of your time if you'd like to.
Cool, sure thing. So yeah, I already mentioned where you can find us at livepeer.org. If you know anyone who's experimenting with a cool video streaming app or a cool social application in Web3, maybe experimenting with NFTs, maybe experimenting with crowdfunding around publishing content, definitely point them at Livepeer, point them at us. We can help them get started, and we're at all the industry hackathons and events, helping people build kind of the next generation of Web3. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Yep.